Coming up on the bench, the women's basketball team is in Greensboro for the ACC tournament. After wins over Boston College and Florida State, find out if Syracuse can pull off the upset against Dana Evans and Louisville in the semifinals. And after a surprise loss to begin the season, the men's lacrosse team has won 4 in a row and look to test their win streak against one of the best teams in the country, the Duke Blue Devils. See how the Orange mount an improbable comeback to make it an exciting finish. And finally, the SU tennis team was back in action over the weekend as they look to take down Marshall. Find out how the Orange finished the regular season and what their chances are like in the upcoming ACC tournament. All of that and more. This is On the Bench, and it starts right now. Welcome to On the Bench here inside the CitrusTV studio in Syracuse, New York. I'm your host, Nick Luttrell. Joining me from across our studio are Cameron Nazir and Sam Corcoran. Gentlemen, how are we?
I'm doing great. I'm absolutely doing phenomenal, and I get Sam right next to me. Like, come on, it's the best day ever.
Hey, man, Cameron right next to me, too. What I cannot complain about today. Today is a fantastic day. Always ready to talk Syracuse sports. Let's get right into it. Let's do it.
All right, Sam and Cam, best friends. I love it. Well, before we get into all the highlights, we first must get caught up on something that is taking over college athletics as we know it, the transfer portal. As it stands right now, there are 3 players from the SU men's basketball team that have entered the transfer portal: Kadari Richmond, John Bolajak, and Robert Braswell. On top of that, sophomore forward Quincy Guerrier has entered his name into the NBA draft. And if you thought that was bad, take a look at the women's side of things for Syracuse. 7 players, that's right, 7, have decided to transfer out of the program. Notables include Emily Engstler, Kiara Lewis, and Digma Stratemeyer. Speaking of Syracuse women's basketball, they've been on a roll lately in the ACC tournament. Now, after losing 3 out of their last 4 regular season games, SU has won 2 in a row in the conference tournament against Boston College and Florida State. How would they fare on Saturday against Louisville? Let's roll the tape and let's find out. So the Orange and the Cardinals facing off. Again, the Cardinals the number 1 seed in the ACC tournament, number 5 in the AP poll. The Cards were getting it going early as Kiana Smith drains that 3-pointer assisted by Dana Evans. The next possession, though, Maevi Talji-Tabi finds a jumper right there. The bank is open. Yes, ma'am. Syracuse had some buckets in the first quarter, courtesy of Camila Cardosa gets that layup there. And they're only down by 7 at halftime, so not too bad of a deficit. The Cards started to come alive in this third quarter, courtesy of Dana Evans with that layup right there. And then just poor boxing out effort by Syracuse, and then worse defense later on as Louisville extends their lead to 14. Emily Engstler going to make a 3-pointer here for Syracuse in the fourth quarter, but it wouldn't be enough as Louisville takes the win over Syracuse 72-59, and the Cardinals, they would go on to fall to NC State, who, as you can see there at the bottom of your screen, was crowned ACC champs for the 2nd year in a row. As for Syracuse, Emily Engstler earned an all-tournament second-team selection with her 13 points and 10 rebounds for the Orange. And you can't forget Camila Cardoso's buzzer beater in the quarterfinals against FSU. Cardoso went on to win ACC Freshman of the Year. Switching now to lacrosse, as the Orange suffered a surprising loss to open the season against Army. But since then, SU has won 4 in a row, outscoring their opponents 69-38. On Thursday night, Syracuse traveled to Durham to face number 2 Duke, a team that's already defeated 3 ranked opponents. Let's get to the action. So again, Syracuse and Duke facing up, a top 5 matchup in Durham between 2 ACC foes. And it was back and forth early on. First goal for Duke is to come by Brennan O'Neill, fires that one in as Duke takes the early lead. Later on, though, Lucas Quinn, the back of the net for Syracuse, gives them the 3-2 lead. And then Michael Sowers crawls underneath the defender to find that goal. Part of the big run that the Blue Devils had. They scored 7 goals in a row, making it the most goals SU has given up all season in the first half. There's a goal by Charlie O'Connor, puts Duke up 12-5. Syracuse gets a goal there by Owen Seabold to cut the deficit a little bit, but they're down 12-7 at halftime. Something would need to change in the second half, and to begin the third quarter, something does change. Stephen Rafis, the big-time goal, trying to cut that deficit for Syracuse, and then Rafis finds Chase Scanlon once again for the goal. Scanlon and Rafis combined for 7 goals, and Syracuse was on fire in the second half. They went on a 7-1 run to begin the third quarter. Here it is, though. Down by 1, Chase Scanlon. A big-time goal for the Orange to tie the game with under 9 minutes remaining. But as Lee Corso would say, not so fast. Duke gets a big-time goal right now. In fact, they get 2 goals within the span of 2 minutes. So here it is. 10 seconds left to go for the Orange. Down by 1. Who's going to be the hero? Well, not Brendan Curry. That one sails wide right. Hilt's going to take it out for Syracuse. But hold up. Timeout called by Syracuse. Legendary head coach John Desko and company going to draw up a play. And for who else? Hilt gets it inside to Stephen Rafis. A chance! No. Shut down by Mike Adler. Duke goes on to win 15-14. They advance to 9-0. Syracuse falls to 4-2. Finally, we come to the Syracuse tennis team. They wrapped up the regular season on Sunday at Marshall with a 6-1 victory over the Thundering Herds. That win snapped a 2-match losing skid for SU, and it also erased a 5-match losing streak for the 2 players you see there on your screen, Victoria Kanavskaya and Natalie Novotná. The doubles pair took down Anna Smith and Daniela Dankovic 6-4. Kanavskaya of SU stayed hot in her singles match as she took down Smith in 2 sets. SU finishes the regular season at 7-10 and 5-8 in the ACC, and they'll face off against Wake Forest in this week's ACC tournament. As we take a look at that bracket, you see SU at the top of your screen, the number 9 seed in the tourney. It's a tough road ahead for the Orange, as if they can knock off the Demon Deacons, they'll have to go up against number 1 North Carolina. And this is a Tar Heels team that hasn't lost a match, since May of 2019. So a tall task lies ahead for the Orange, and the same can be said for my partners Cameron Desir and Sam Corcoran, who have been patiently waiting their turn. When we come back, we'll play a fun little game of buy or sell, in which these guys will give me their hottest takes on SU athletics. On the bench, we'll be right back.